Trade Genius.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Philip with Trade Genius. Figured we'd take a look at the week ahead and see where we're at with Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. So let's take a look at the charts. Here up we have Ethereum. So Ethereum has, after it made its all-time highs and like everything else kind of come down, is really consolidating, really getting tight in here. This is a daily chart. Now, typically what happens is when we get tight on Ethereum like we have here, you'll notice a similar thing happen here and the range got narrow. And so what people are looking for is a breakout. So I would say if you broke out above this 894 high on this bar here, I think you're going to see some buy stops get triggered and you're going to see another move up. The alt market, which we'll take a look at, has been pretty sluggish, and every time Bitcoin makes a move up, it tends to be at the expense of the alts, and we'll look at those charts to kind of see an example of that. But for here, that's what I'd be looking at on the daily. Breakout of that, that 900 mark, making a move higher. We have broken this downtrend line, so that's good. And on the daily, the stochastics are, this was a good spot to get long, but we've kind of chopped sideways since then. So we're not overbought or anything like that. And again, Ethereum is prone to pop when it gets sideways like this. If the alt markets continue to struggle and Bitcoin surges higher, you could have another breakdown, which is possible too, which you're basically looking at. You'd be keying in on these levels here of lows of these around 850 or so. If you start seeing that break, we had a low of 836 here. That could trigger some stops on the way down. But the other thing to think of or look at is we're in these in between these fib zones. So we have these bear fib zones that are coming from these levels here, this range here, and this upper one is this entire range down here. So it's come up, it's bounced against that, come back down. This bull fib zone is holding. Now the upside, so basically we have, until something gives here, this 397, believe it or not, and 351 are in play. And to the upside, we have 1687. Pretty crazy ranges, but that's how those fib targets play out. So for the bulls, you want to start clearing these fib zones. Next, the first one is 960. So if you get above 970, that's very bullish, and that would also take you back up to where this price was. This price action normally, once you encroach back into another attempt, almost like a cup and handle kind of a thing, although this one's not quite like that. But those second attempts usually signal a very bullish move. All right, so that's Ethereum. Let's take a look at Litecoin. This is a daily chart as well. Again, broke that trend line like a lot of like Bitcoin too, kind of the same patterns. We did have daily buy signals, and again, we're kind of in between fib zones. Remember I told you last week 250 was key, came up, spiked off that, came back down. Now we're consolidating. So again, like with the alts, if things continue to be weak, this could fall down. Very similar to Ethereum, where it's consolidating. Again, if you start seeing a break above here, out of this trend line, I would say probably there's some buy stop orders waiting. Those will get hit. You might get a nice move up. But you clear 250, you clear this previous high, and you're going to 300. Pretty much. We do have a fib target of 287, but at that point, everybody's probably going to be keen in on 300. So that's what we're looking at there. But kind of tentative here. We're just kind of chopping. So it's, it could break down. As far as the stochastics go, it is, in a spot where things would tend to turn up. So I am biased to the long side here. But, the alt market's pretty soft right now. So until we start seeing some money flow into it, things are a little tentative there. All right, let's look at Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, look at the daily chart. Bitcoin has broken the trend line like you saw with Litecoin and Ethereum. And if we key in here on this head and shoulders, we've been talking about it for a while now. This is still in play. And we broke the neckline. And so basically now, this key area here, again, 11,700, we've been talking about that a lot. We're pushed up here. Now, if we look at on the daily, we're overbought right here. RSI is not super critical, but stochastics are up there. So, this might pull back a little bit or consolidate. We talked about that before pushing up through this, but we'll see. But we are overbought. So, if we look at some smaller time frames, that's the daily. Look at the 4 hour. Okay, so we came out of this descending wedge. So if the wedge is descending, pointing down, that's bullish. So we broke out of that. So currently we're kind of in a price channel here. We came out of a nice buy condition on the 4 hour, which was this fuel for this latest move up, and stochastics are crossing over. Probably the most bearish thing here is that we do have a bearish divergence. So RSI didn't make a new high, but price did, and that's bearish. So not super bearish, but you'd look for a pullback to support. And where is support? Well, we're looking at 11,110, somewhere in that area would be that's a good support zone there. A lot of times if the trend is strong, all you'll get is a pullback to the shorter moving average here, and then another move higher. So we haven't hit 11,700. The high here so far was 11,599. That was the previous hour, so about $100 shy. Actually, I should say that was the previous 4 hour bar, so it was earlier in the day. If we, so once we get up there and tag 11,700, that's going to be, that'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Do the bulls finally win out? I think, like I said, this is like a larger cup and handle. Cup and handles are bullish because you have the cup here, and then this is the handle, and then, so these tend to break out. And so that should provide a big move if that clears on good volume. And that's what we're looking at. 1 hour chart, if you want to get down to that, here's the price channel we're currently in. And we're getting down into a buy area on the stochastics. So, this would probably, like I said, 11,001, 100, 150, that's going to be a support area. And then, if that gets down to that level on this move, this is going to get really down to a oversold conditions, and you'll probably get a decent bounce from there. So that's basically where we're at with Bitcoin. Being that we're so close to that 11,700, unless a lot of selling came in out of nowhere and we broke down out of this channel, which would then get kind of bearish, I'm going to be biased to move back up to that level. All right, as far as the alts go, let's take a look at our alt chart. Things still pretty much moving inversely. I don't think the party's really going to get started again, although we're looking for that kind of in March here. But as you can see, things are still pretty inverted. So Bitcoin here, when it goes up, the alts kind of go down, right? You kind of see that inverse correlation. Sometimes, like in this area here, they're not. There's a little bit of inverse here going on, but not too bad. It's almost like they're sort of kind of moving together. But and actually, after this, this is a 6 hour snapshot. You're basically at the same level of percentage change. So they do sometimes come together and meet, but I'd like to see where this is kind of generally moving together. I think that'll be a market change in the alt space. But until that time, I think things are kind of going to, status quo is going to be the way it is, where alts are kind of getting pushed down as Bitcoin moves up. So that's pretty much it for the week, guys. Those are the levels to look for. and we'll see how things go as the week progresses. Going to do another video tomorrow. We're going to talk about some technical patterns to look for on these charts to kind of better help your trading. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. Please hit like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching these videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Trade Genius.